I'm going to show you how to install Cocoapods, and I'll do an example project showing how you can actually use it in your project. So I also go from the perspective as if this was my first time installing Cocoapods, so that way you can get an idea of how you could look this up in the future as well. Alright, so it's Cocoapods, so we'll go ahead and search for Cocoapods. And we'll hit getting started. Alright, so if you scroll down, there's an installation area. So what you want to do is take this, copy that, sudo gem install Cocoapods, open up your terminal. If you don't have it open already, you do command space, that'll open up your spotlight search. Type in terminal, hit enter. So here's your terminal. Go ahead and command paste, command V. Alright, so now you have sudo gem install Cocoapods. Go ahead and hit enter. I'm not going to hit enter because I already have that installed, but once you hit enter, you'll have to enter your administrator password. Enter your password and I'll go ahead and start the installation process. Alright, so once you have Cocoapods installed, there's two paths you could take. One, let's say you're given a project and it uses Cocoapods. So in that case, you just have to go navigate to the project in terminal. So to move, you can do CD, and then you need the full path of the directory you want to move to. And then once you're in there, you just do pod install. And this is going to install all of the related frameworks that are in the pod file. But let's say this is your own project and you haven't used Cocoapods yet. So let's go ahead and open up Xcode. Click create a new project for this demo. We're going to say it's an iOS project. App. Next. Example. Pods. We'll go ahead and just do a storyboard instead of a Swift UI. Alright. And we'll go ahead and skip tests for now since this is just an example project. We don't need a Git repository since this is an example project. Alright, so now we have an Xcode project. The next thing we need to do, we need a pod file. Okay, so if I was brand new to this, what would I do? Well, you'd want to look at the website and it would say at the bottom how to actually use it. So this says head over to using Cocoapods. I have that open already. So this explains that you need to create a file named pod file. So let's go ahead and do that. The way I'm going to do it, I'm going to open up the text edit program. So again, command space to get Spotlight. I'm going to type in text edit, hit enter. I'm going to create a new document. Now I do want to make this plain text. I'm going to go format, make plain text. I'm going to command S for save. I'm going to save this on my desktop, so let's just name this pod file. We want to uncheck if no extension is provided, use .txt, because we do not want an extension. Alright, now we're going to save. So now that you have that pod file, I'll go back to this. This gives you an example. So this says you need to write target, and then this is going to be your target's name. So in our case, let's check what we called our project. I closed it already. Example pods. So that's what we're going to use. We'll say target, single quote, example pods, and single quote. And we'll say do. We have a new line with an indentation. So tab, pod, and now we're going to have to specify what pod we want. That'll be different for each project, and then we say end. Okay, so for our example, I'm going to do a loading indicator. So the loading indicator that I chose for this project is ANActivityIndicator. So if we look at their installation instructions, this is how you install it on Cocoapods. So we want to copy this pod ANActivityIndicator, put that in the single quotes. We're going to save this file. Now what we're going to do, we're going to go find this file in our terminal. So go to our documents, find our project, drag this project. Oh, we need to write CD first. CD, drag that project, enter. Now all we have to do, since that pod file is in the project already, we just do pod install, enter. Alright, we got an undefined target. Alright, actually we have a typo here. So it's a lowercase t for target. Alright, let's go ahead and save that. Go ahead and do it again. Pod install. Alright, now it's installed the ANActivityIndicator framework. We need to actually close our Xcode project and reopen it in the workspace. So we'll go ahead and do that. Close that. Now we'll go to our Finder, go into our project, and now we have a new file called XC Workspace, or ending in XC Workspace. We can see we have our pod file here. We can always edit it directly in the project now as well. I'll go ahead and go through with this example to show you how you could use an activity indicator in your project. Okay, so the one I used is an activity. I'm going to do a full screen. Let's go to their full screen instructions. So it looks like all you have to do is call ANActivityIndicator presenter.shared.showIndicator. You're also going to have to import the library as well. So let's go ahead and do that first. Let's go to our main view controller. At the top, we're just going to say import ANActivity activity indicator. Activity indicator. Now it says it can't load that. We'll go ahead and build. And it built, succeeded. Okay, so what I want to do is I just want to have a button that when you press, it'll show the loading indicator. So let's go to our storyboard, hit this little plus button. We'll drag a button onto the screen. I want it centered. We'll say load everything. Okay, that's the name of our button. I want this centered though, so no matter what size of the screen, I want it centered. So I'm just going to say center horizontally and center vertically. Alright, I like the height, so let's set that height. I'm control clicking, by the way, and width. So now the height and width are set, and it's going to center it horizontally and vertically. Okay, so the next thing we have to do, we need an action. When this is pressed, we need to show a loading indicator. So the quickest way to do that, we want to click this plus button here, add editor on the right. Alright, now we want to go over to our view controller. We need to make this view a little bit bigger so we have room to work with. We'll hide our side panel. Okay, I had to click, for some reason the storyboard froze up. Okay, here's our storyboard. We're going to click our button, control, drag over here. We're going to say the connection type is an action. Alright, our name, just call it load everything. Alright, so this is event type touch up inside, so when your finger presses down inside the button and on the touch up, on the lift up of your finger, it'll trigger that event. So let's connect. Alright, so now inside our action, this happens when you press it. Now let's look at our example here. We want a full screen, so let's find that example. We're already past it. As full screen, yes, that's what we want. So now it just says we need to type ANActivityIndicator presenter shared show indicator. Alright, so let's try it. ANActivityIndicator dot, I already forgot what it said. Indicator presenter dot shared dot show indicator. Okay. So now if we go ahead and run this project, alright, great. Here's our button, load everything. Let's click on that, and now it shows a loading indicator. Great, so now we have a loading indicator, however it doesn't go away. So we want to pretend that it successfully loads. Okay, so now we're just going to tell the application to sleep for about 4 seconds. And then after that, we're going to go dispatch queue, main. Okay, so now we're back on the main thread. Now we just want to do an activity indicator presenter, shared, and we want to hide the indicator. Okay, so now if we go ahead and stop the project, run it. Now when we press the button, it should show the loading indicator for about 4 seconds, and then it should dismiss. We can repeat that if we want. Alright, so in a real application you wouldn't ever actually be sleeping, but you can have this do the network activity request, say go download a large file, download an image, and once it's complete, then you would hide your loading indicator. Alright, thank you for watching. I hope this helped you both get familiar with using Cocoapods as well as using a loading indicator in your Swift project.